Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Punchline Africa Television Broadcasting from the Political Command Center in London. Good morning across the continent of Africa. Thank you very much for watching us. We are sorry we have not been able to transmit fully, but tonight in America, those are thinking of midterm elections. Good morning and good night. Those who want to go to sleep today across in Australia, thank you very much. In China, thank you. In Egypt, thank you very much. The crowd of Africa hosted and is still hosting delegates from across the world to talk about climate change. Good morning across in Nairobi, Kenya. Good morning in Pambe. Today you are holding the fort for Miriam Ogutu. Good morning in Nairobi.
Good morning, Dr. Matsanga. Thank you so much for hosting me in this particular show, and of course, other panelists here on this show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Wanda, Dr. Wanda in Nairobi.
Good morning, Dr. Matsanga, the panelists and the TV. Indeed, I'm very happy to be on the show as we keep on promoting the African topics, the African shows, and brand Africa and make Africa quite a powerful continent. Today, I'm speaking from Tito Ande in Kenya. Thank you.
Oh, you are on the move. You are in the middle of the whole country called Kenya. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Professor Wanda. And I believe you are researching on some historical things around Mutande.
Exactly, sir.
Enjoy. Thank you very much. It is rather very chilly down here, but things are okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, Africa. Thank you very much across Nairobi or across Kenya again. We have Samuel Tawish Olesisana from Narok, our correspondent expert today. Thank you very much. Good morning, Tawish.
Very good morning indeed to you, Dr. David Matsanga. Good morning to my colleague panelists and indeed all our viewers who are watching our program here in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. It's my pleasure to join you on Matsanga Global Trends.
You look so fresh, man. So fresh. And all of you look very fresh. I am the only one who had a flu and it put me down. It's a heavy flu now, and that, as you know, that is it. But I'm here. Thank you very much. Thank you. You die on the job. No officer leaves his office or his platform or his barracks when it is under attack. So an officer as a captain, you always die on job. Good morning. And today I'm dressed like a Mabutu Sese Seko. So don't worry about the topic that we are going to bring. I specifically brought out this shirt to show the people of the world that I've been researching on DRC Congo. And anybody who doesn't listen to me, I'm now not going to talk while Bembelesha Watu. I am going to talk my mind. I have lived on this planet enough. God has kept me to see the truth. If you don't listen to me on this Congo, you will burn yourselves into a terrible, terrible enclave of difficulties. Today, as we see, we shall be talking about Democratic Republic of Congo. What is wrong with it? Thank you very much. It's going to be an interesting topic. But first, let's go to Nairobi and find out from the man himself. By the way, people don't know I have a radio station online, a very big radio station online, Wanda, which you should be using to teach your students. And it plays Lingala music throughout. Radio Punchline Africa. Yes, that is Matsanga's radio. It's there, powerful. That is the man behind it. He speaks on the Swahili and some good English. I don't know what he's going to speak today English on this show.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Speak both
Let's
languages.
That a very powerful radio. If you are going to the gym, like some of us now have gone to start a gym fully, and I have not seen my link in the studio. What has happened? You tell your people you are sleeping on the job. I have no link here to supply to people. Yes, send me the link. Who's sleeping down there? Good morning. Let's as the link comes, let's see, Mr.
Good morning.
Pambe.
Good morning, Punchline Africa Television and the panelists led by Dr. David Matsanga. And of course, we are going first of all to look at the newspaper review for Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Namibia, and also Zimbabwe. So we start with Kenya, where Daily Nation says that MCAs now want their pay tripled. You'll find these on page 4 and 5, where an MCA will earn close to 400,000 shillings besides being awarded development budget. If proposals by the county assemblies forum are adopted, then the claim for a pay rise by the 2,100 MCAs coming on the back of similar demands by the 416 MPs will only worsen the country's wage bill crisis at a time limited public resources and also being gobbled up by prepayment of a choking public debt. And then on the Standard newspaper, cracks rock Uhuru and Raila party. It is found on page 6. The ghosts of NASA are stalling a former President Uhuru Kenyatta and handshake partner Raila Odinga's Azimio party complained of unfair treatment by ODM over nominations on the Parliamentary Service Commission, accusing the Orange Party of political deceit and conmanship. And on the Star newspaper, on page 4 and 5, you find a big story here. Big plot to ruin Raila Uhuru Iyala strategy. Kenya Kwanza MPs plan to block Azimio favorites from regional parliament, which is East African Legislative Assembly. And then we look at the Uganda newspaper, the New Vision. China okays tax-free goods from Uganda. Details of approved products inside page 2. You'll find that story. And also, Uganda has no safe houses. You also find on page 11 the details there. Then we have a newspaper review on still on Daily Nation, that is Daily Monitor for Uganda. 27 miss PLE after director vanishes. Pupil collapses during examination and dies. The director of the school did not come back after promising to return with a van to chauffeur the pupils to Mpasana Primary School, where the exams were being conducted. This forced them to trek to the center, but they arrived too late. This is the story found on page 3 of the Daily Monitor. We move to Namibia, where Omusati villages taps dry for 5 years. This is actually the same story, also rocking most parts of East Africa and Africa at large on the issues to do with the famine and drought. It is the changes in climate. This is the Sun newspaper of Namibia. And then we have the Citizen of Tanzania, where SADC leaders give 38 trillion shillings power plan fresh impetus, where President Samia Suluhu Hassan and other Southern African Development Community leaders have agreed to focus on 3 issues to improve electricity generation and distribution in the region. And as we sum up on the newspaper review, still in Tanzania, where we have Daily News newspaper, where YTZ deserves plaudits. We have that story there, and also we have boost for tourism as mega cruise ship docks in Dar es Salaam, and also Majaliwa Kasim stresses sustainable measures to curb water shortage. This is issue of water shortage still continues to rock most parts of Africa because of these dry seasons that we are experiencing. Thank you so much. Welcome, Dr. Matsanga, as we move on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pambe Wakamba Makanga. Thank you very much from Nairobi. Let's cross over to, let me bring you regional news. Sorry, global news from London. This is a very interesting global news from London. Let's begin with I can't see my global news. Where have they gone? Thank you very much. I can't see them. Yeah, the Daily Telegraph from London says, use G20 talks to give peace a chance. United States tells Ukraine. What G20 to get a peace? What peace can you get in Ukraine? Ukraine has brought a problem for everybody across the world. Now we've included drought, famine, starvation, wars in Ethiopia, wars in Democratic Republic of Congo. We have a problem. The British Prime Minister was telling his fellow G20 members. Then we have also another paper. I don't know why these papers are not moving fast. We have another paper. The Daily Mail. What is the point of this police? What is the point of this police? What's the point of this police? This is something that is very, very crucial as a lone protester forces M25 to shut for the fourth day running. One person in the United Kingdom has forced everything to stop on M25, and the things are not moving well as far as we are concerned. Thank you very much. Those are some of the headlines. One person, you can imagine, this is a developed country, and one person alone has forced the entire developed country to have a police. Nobody is moving in and out of M24 for 20. You see, this shows to you how people value human rights. If it had been in Africa, somebody would have already clubbed this guy. Tawish, if it had been Africa, I think police would have already gunned this guy down. But 4 days, this lone protester, are you hearing me properly? The lone protester has been on M25, and the police are just watching. They don't want to touch anything. They don't want to be seen killing a human body. They are simply saying that is the situation. They are simply saying let it go, let it work a motor until he gets tired. Viewers, first of all, let me to go to Dr. Wanda from Mutatendei in Kenya. Good morning, Doc. Would the Lone Ranger stand on Mombasa Highway for 4 days? Police would be persuading him to leave the roadway, or they would just go in and gun him down. Give us a quick comment on that.
That reminds me of our good big friend Okiya Omtata. There was a point where Okiya Omtata tried to do a personal demonstration. Then he went and chained himself at the CBD in Nairobi. It only took him some few minutes to be. Then he was pulled like a sack being pulled and pushed here and there. That in Africa you just cannot do that. Probably the Africa that we all want, an Africa where the rule of law will be respected. But as of now, in Africa, with a clear case study of one Okio Mtata who once tried to do that in the CBD. It is something that cannot happen just of now.
This protester, Tawish, as you come in to give us an opener on this, very interesting news on this one, when you see one man, a road ranger, standing on the road saying, there's nowhere you are going to take me. As a Lone Ranger protester forces the M25 to shut for the fourth day running, and 17 officers stand around aimlessly. More and more hardworking citizens are asking, what is the point of this police? But the guy is there, 17 officers, he is being guarded. He is now, as you speak right now, he's being guarded on by police. You know, he has broken the law, but the police are making sure that day and night they are there. They don't want to go up. Is there any country in Africa that can Tawish with the best of their best go on it, have a go on that?
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga, and thank you, colleague, panelists, and correspondents. Indeed, Dr. Matsanga, you will hardly experience such in the African continent because, again, it's not just about the authorities, it's not just about the police, but I think the kind of mindset that the ordinary Mwananchi also has in terms of their right to demonstrate and picket is not well amplified as is envisaged in our constitution. And I think that is where the problem lies. If, for example, our people in the African continent really could borrow how, say, protest and demonstrations and right to picket is done, say, from the developed countries, then I think the police will allow the same to happen in Kenya or Africa. But because normally, in most circumstances, we've had rogue elements taking advantage of these demonstrations and protests and the right to picket, really even to steal from the from members of the public, and sometimes just cause mayhem and havoc. That's why you see the police cannot also just tolerate and allow that to happen as it should. So I think it is somehow something to do with a two-way traffic. That if we are to get to such kind of levels, then I think there's some level of maturity that we are called upon to emulate from the Western power countries, both from the authorities and on the side of the ordinary Mwananchi, who usually, of course, take to the streets really to demonstrate. And I'm very happy that Dr. Wanda has given that example of one activist, Okio Mtata, who now happens to be the Busia senator in the Senate here in Kenya. And I remember vividly about that particular incident. I think it was in the Treasury, at the Treasury building. If I'm not very wrong, he went there and chained himself. And of course, the police came and took him away, rather whisked him away. And I think this has really, we have been accustomed to such kind of demonstrations and protests right here in Kenya and the rest of the African continent. So I believe, Dr. Matsanga, if we are to get to such kind of levels where police will even give you protection during demonstrations and protests, then we have to also, as ordinary people, ordinary Mwananchi, members of the public, to act with some level of decorum that is acceptable and as dictated in our constitution, that in as much as you protest, you do not cause mayhem and havoc and even deny other people's rights, for example, to enjoy the services of their very own country. And I think that is where the problem lies. But here in Africa and in Kenya in particular, I think we have a long way to go if we are to get to such kind of levels, Dr. Matsanga. The level of intolerance is still way too high. I submit, Dr.
Thank you very much, my dear brothers, Tawish. I still find it very, very difficult to understand honestly how a police in Britain can guard a protester for 4 days and are shutting down a motorway. So, Pambe,
Yes.
can this happen in Africa?
I think the level of democracy there out there, I think in Western countries could be higher than what we see in Africa. In fact, to some extent, you find that it is so difficult for police even to guard whoever is protesting, but instead they look at it as if maybe he's kind of a threat to that particular place where they are protesting. So in this case, it is kind of difficult to happen here in Africa. And I think we should at least change the way we look at things, the way we perceive at how democracy should be demonstrated. So I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
So it will take time for democracy in Africa and in most African countries to develop. Democracy develops. Democracy does not come in a day. For Britain to reach where it is, it took them 1,961 years. And the killings, the murder, the slaughter, the wars, the changes. And you see, last week, I and Wanda were doing a topic on, and the professor Wanda, we were doing a topic on Twitter space and Tawish. I was asking a clear question, and my question was: before these guys came to Africa, Vasco da Gama, Columbus, around the world, they had already started building ships. It means they had created employment. They came to spread religion in Africa while the mercantile capitalism was working. Those who were building ships, Tawish and the professor, you remember, they were, you preach to an empty stomach, which has not eaten food, and yet you have got a breakfast, lunch, tea, and bread, plus even nyama choma, or something so big. Now you tell me how this Christian is going to go and say, I am well organized, and I'm here to stay. See, these are some of the things that are making Africa look like we have not yet moved. But the mere fact that 4 policemen are guarding, 17 policemen, not even 4, 17 policemen are guarding, it is very interesting. 17 policemen are guarding one man. 17. They are guarding one man day and night, even giving him food. They are sending food through pipes from their but in Africa, in Nigeria, for example, police would have remanded him about 200 bullets. No joke, quickly finish the issue. The issue here is human rights. It's very important, it's key. If we are to develop our countries, we can't talk about development when we have not talked about human rights. You can't talk about a country developing in Africa when you yourself cannot respect people's human rights. However much money you bring, it is zero. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, those watching us across the continent of Africa and other continents. We are here, and that is, you have not told people your radio station works 24 hours. Yes.
Yes. The Radio Punchline Africa works for 24 hours. Of course, we play music, diverse music. Diverse music means that we play music from across Africa and also other continents. And you listen to us via www.punchlineafricatv.com/radio on Radio Garden app or Simple Radio app. Still, you can listen to us. We play music from morning to evening and also even to midnight. That is 24-hour radio on the internet. This is normally the #1 online radio here in Africa. Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga. And as you said, perhaps on the topic we can do the introduction. And at least 4 people have been killed and 10 others kidnapped near Beni City in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. A shopping center in Kabasha town in the troubled North Kivu province was attacked by what is suspected to be members of a rebel group, the Alliance Democratic Forces, that is ADF. The gunmen also torched the only health center in this area of eastern DR Congo, looted properties and set fire to vehicles. This week, the Congolese military launched an offensive against another group called M23 that had seized territory. In recent months, more than 90,000 people have been displaced following fighting between the army and M23 rebels. And that's where our topic comes in now. What is wrong with DRC, or rather the Democratic Republic of Congo? Take it over, Dr. Matsanga.
I want to thank you very much. And I also want to welcome our correspondent, engineer Saxon Vima from Zimbabwe, Harare. Good morning, my dear brother in Harare.
Oh, good morning, Doc. How are you? And how are you, panelists? And how are you, viewers?
Thank you very much. It looks there is plenty of sunshine that side in Harare. In the background is His Excellency President Mnangagwa back from the Egypt, from
on Wednesday. It's actually officiating graduation today now in Blawayo.
Oh, he's in the second city of the people of Zimbabwe called Bulawayo. How is the general situation across there in Bulawayo? In the entire, how are you also experiencing drought? Are you also experiencing heavy rains? Is there a bumper crop? The land issue that I fought for so tirelessly, defending you people across for 22 years. I am here, and I'm happy you have. None of you has given me even one pineapple, but it is okay. And how are people there?
I think it's okay. The rains were heavy, and actually yesterday we did a good report from Invictus. We now have got the content that of gas and oil in Zaraban, which is the latest development that we tell. Yeah, that's the latest.
Okay, so you are not experiencing any drought so far? No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good news for Zimbabwe in years that there is no drought coming that side. I thank you very much. The topic is very clear. What is wrong with the Democratic Republic of Congo? Kenyan troops have been sent to Democratic Republic of Congo. Ugandan troops have been sent to Democratic Republic of Congo. Tanzanian troops left Congo. United Nations peacekeeping forces have been in Congo as old as Rwanda, and as old as, not as old as Rwanda, as old as Pambe. They have been in Congo since 1961. The peace has never come. This country goes on. People go or die every day. Kenya decided to send in troops to battle the inside, to restrain the M23. How far do we know and how much do we know about the difficulties of Congo? This morning, I wrote a piece and I have given copies to all of you, copies to all of you. The truth, and nothing but the truth. That's my first phase. The next one comes out tomorrow. I am trying to bring out this so that the mediators, those who are getting involved, not me, they are getting involved. They better know this. Because the moment you don't know what is happening in Congo, and then you enter Congo, there are chances of you being sucked in very seriously, that you might not come back. That's one. Or you might come back after several difficulties. Many countries, including Zimbabwe, Angola, Namibia, Chad, they were all drawn into the Congo War to stop Uganda and Rwanda from partitioning Congo. What's wrong with Congo? What is wrong with this country? How can we get the peace that we yearn for? How can people come back to sleep, eat, rest, go to school, as others in the continent are doing so in most of the countries of Africa? Congo still remains a very difficult area where some parts of Congo, people are not even going to school. People don't even know that is this the country that we should have in Africa? Let's look at the rebel groups. Congo has got 132 rebel groups. Until we name the people who profiteers, those who arm the rebels, those who plunder Congo, the mediators of this conflict must understand that. Some of us have been there before. I went to Congo with Obasanjo on the same plane to go and mediate. Laurent Kunda was then fighting the Congolese government. I understand this conflict very well. And for those who think I'm talking from a street somewhere, who has no information, you will ask me soon. These guys have one thing. I don't know whether all of you saw yesterday a video of the commanders of M23 dancing, saying that on Tuesday, they are going to celebrate in Ngoma. Wanda, I think Professor Wanda, Dr. Wanda, you saw that video. They are dancing, saying, come. And look, these are people who, they are coming. We need to help. We need to talk out. We need to call out the people who profiteers, plunderers, dealers, those who are giving the Congolese militia arms, those who are taking the minerals out of Congo. If you don't do that, and you think you are just going to get peace, unless you put boots, many boots, heavy boots, hundreds to outnumber these insurgents, we are in for a shock. I and Dr. Wanda, I've hosted space here. And guess what I've seen? I've seen so many interesting things, which I cannot, even the commanders of M23 were on my platform. Abe, one of them cried tears. So if a man is crying tears wanting to take us who are on the space, what about if he gets a human being on the ground in Ngoma? Dr. Wanda, you saw that gentleman who cried tears. So that is the commander, one of the commanders of M23, who had early on given me a pseudonym. He was going to use a pseudonym, but tell the world what we want. We don't know what the rebels want. But today, let's leave that of the rebels. Let's come to the government. Is the government of Congo accomplished to the problems that have hit Congo? Or are governments, successive governments, from Kabila, Mobutu, when Mobutu was in power, nobody could take a territory. You can call Mobutu anything. You can, that's why I've worn this shirt. I don't know whether Tawish you were born when Mobutu was around, but these are the these are the powerful shots. Yes, and some of us wear these things for memory. Powerful shots. Those days, Mabutu could wear this. Powerful. Forget about the people wearing suits. This how Mabutu used to wear, dress up. But when Mabutu could talk, the whole Africa would listen, and you could not play about with his territory. Nobody took arms to fight against Mabutu until 1998, when Kabila, my friend Kabila, whom we used to share quite a lot of drinks in a Southern Sun Hotel in Dar es Salaam, decided to pick up arms to go and fight. So the point here, let me throw the debate, because for me, I've written in my mind. Let me throw the debate out to you people. I will begin with Dr. Wanda, then come to Tawish, then come to Engineer Saxon. Dr. Wanda, what's wrong with Congo?
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga. When you look at Congo and the conflicts, the crisis, all the fights, and everything that is happening in Congo, you will easily point a finger at three groups. The first group that I'll be quick at pointing a finger at is the government, the government of Congo, because this is the government of Congo serves as the man of the house, as the owner of the house. Therefore, as the owner of the house, a neighbor cannot just come in to dictate what happens in my house. The owner or the owner of the house, the external persons or the children within the house should live within the rules of the owner of the house. Therefore, as the government of Congo, the DRC Congo, I'll quickly point a very harsh finger at them, because they are the real problems that are happening. They're the real cause of the problem that are happening to Congo. Because how do you lead a country that is always chaotic? How do you lead a country that you go ahead and say, in my country, I'm having 133 rebel groups that are fighting right, left, and center? Then you're completely doing nothing to end the madness. Then any other person will always point a finger at you that you're failing as the government, you're failing as the man of the house to bring order, to bring some sense in the house. Number two, I'll blame the Africans. I'll wish that the dreams of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah lived in our people, that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wanted a free Africa, a united Africa, an Africa that is prosperous, an Africa that will realize our dreams. According to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he believed that an African continent had been robbed by the West, and it was a time that an African continent now rise and start walking as a grown kid, as a mature kid, then get on the feet and start running. But the dreams of Kwame Nkrumah died when he died, or the dreams died when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government was overthrown by his own people. Therefore, when you look at Africans and the reasons why I point a finger at Africans, that Congo has been fighting. Congo has not experienced peace for so many years. And it becomes so bad when other African nations, other African governments are involved in this, not to end the madness in Congo, but they're in this to do business. If today we look at rebel groups, we look at groups getting in Congo to harvest the minerals, not to favor them, not to establish an industry in Africa, but to harvest the minerals to go and promote the technology in the rest of the world. That you harvest what you have, you cheaply give it out for the peanuts pays, then you import back the technology at at very high prices, very expensive, then sell it to your own people. Whereas we stood at, we had a chance of having such industries in our own continent. Therefore, I'll blame as well. I'll point another second finger to the African governments, and especially those that are involved directly in this war, in this crisis, not to offer a solution, but to harvest what is in Congo, the natural riches of Congo, because as per now, it stands like we have at least 23 US trillions that are still untapped in Congo. Therefore, I will not as well be surprised that Kenya is not going in to offer a solution, but they could be in to try and harvest what Congo, the DRC Congo have, so that they still go and buy, and sell cheaply outside there. I'll not be shocked. I'll not be shocked when the M23, as their generals were putting it, that if the Kenya Defense Forces pulls fire, they'll pull the trigger as well at them. Therefore, I'll not be surprised that we are already in this, and we have established a Cold War in this. That you have established the Western. The Western has already. Is already dividing Africa. Is already using Congo to divide Africa, where the Kenya Defense Forces could be in with some support from another quarter or another section from the Western countries, with the M23 as well probably being in with favors from another quarter in the Western world. And therefore, I'll point another finger at African governments that are involved in this, because we are still being divided with what is happening in Congo, not to offer solution, but to steal what is in Congo and enrich the Western world's industries. We are only getting raw materials and supplies to them at the expense of our own brothers and sisters in Congo, that we destroy infrastructures, we destroy the lives of people, we kill people, just to ensure that, just to get the raw materials and cheaply sell to the Western world, who will still use them, get these technologies and still sell to us at very expensive. The other group that I'll point a finger at, I've pointed a finger at the DRC Congo government for failing to deliver. Number two, I've pointed a finger at the African governments, and especially those that are directly involved in this war, not going in to offer solution, but going in to harvest and sell to the Western world. The other finger that I'll point at is
let me come in here, Professor Dr. Wanda. The points that you are mentioning, especially the point of DRC Congo government failing, for example, to assert authority over its territory. It becomes accomplished, because why should you allow groups to come into your territory, sit on your territory, and you watch them sit on your territory?
Yes.
You don't tell them to get away. You don't fight them, but instead you join them, even to finance them, so that you can exploit the minerals. So unless the mediators understand this, it is going to be a do or die, a Waterloo. Because look, if you look at the way the M23 rebels are saying, if Kenya pulls the trigger, we shall also pull the trigger. What authority, I am asking, what authority can a rebel group in a territory to threaten another peacekeeper or stabilization force of East Africa mandated by East African heads of state? This rebel group must be beyond it is a government. And we are not talking about this. We are skirting around. When we meet, we laugh. I have liked the idea of Tanzania. Tanzania, the panel discovered that there were too many lies among the heads of state on this question of Congo. One Tanzanian official was telling me frankly that Sisi hatuwezi kuingia kwa ile mvurugano ambayo iko Congo tena, sababu watu wa Congo, they have a problem. They talk with the same enemies, then they come to the table, they shake hands. Nobody points a finger because the government itself is also involved in other activities. People are condemning, and this must be talked the truth. People are condemning, and you know it takes Wamutata to chain himself on the door of a high court, but it takes Matsanga to shout internationally for things to work. I'm also different on international scene. I shouted on so many things where I've scored marks. The ICC, for example, people had given ICC like it is heaven. It is ICC is a God. God is the paradise. And honestly, Tawish was interviewing me, saying ICC was God's paradise. Somewhere, don't talk about ICC. Editors of Tawish would tell him not to mention ICC on his program. But I said, I am going to tackle ICC on African continent. Does it surprise to you, Wanda and engineer Saxon and a veteran man, Tawish journalist, does it surprise you that all these actions, Congolese government is aware and it also benefits? Finish your point, then we come to Tawish.
Thank you so much. In fact, as you put it, there's a point, at some point I once said that the government of the DRC Congo normally supports these rebel groups, and they're directly involved in these. They are also part of the groups that are selling their minerals. The only thing that the government of DRC Congo is doing, they are selfish and they are self-centered. They are personalizing the riches of the Congo, that for as long as you protect my position in government, then I don't care what happens in Congo. That for as long as my pockets are full, then I don't care what happens in Congo. Therefore, that's the biggest problem that happens to the Congolese government, that they are fronting their stomachs at the expense of their own people. Therefore, as I land, I will as well blame the Western world. The Western world should not be talking about democracy, should not be talking about promotion of human rights and how we should protect the human rights, whereas they are at the front line. They are at the front line doing the opposite in Congo. That you cannot be preaching water, and at the end of the day you sip some wine. They should come out strong, and if they mean that Congo should be at peace, they should be part of the group that we should initiate the end to these matters in Congo and find a way of getting the minerals not at the expense of the people, but just buy the minerals or get those minerals, but leave Congo a peaceful nation. I land.
Thank you very much for landing. Thank you, Dr. Wanda. I know we caught you in the middle of your historical analysis. You are doing some work, research in one of the remotest areas of Kenya. Thank you very much. You can continue having for a few minutes, then we can land. Let's bring in guests. You and I have been on this subject. Let's bring in our guest from Harare, Zimbabwe. Engineer Saxon. Zimbabwe was involved. Zimbabwe was involved in 1998, 97-98 war that opened up Pandora box, where of 9 neighbors invaded, were on the soil of Congo. What is your opinion currently now, as far as Congo is concerned?
The issue of Congo goes back to 1960, when Patrice Lumumba was killed. And when Mobutu came into power, he was more like a stabilizing factor, because the ones who had removed Patrice Lumumba were the ones who were backing Mobutu Sese Seko. So to them, they could loot the resources under the check note, during that time, DRC was poor, even during the time of Mobutu Sese Seko. But DRC is the largest mineral deposit in the world, about 90 minerals of economic value, but there is nothing to show off for it. Enter 1991, when Laurent Desire Kabila ousted Mobutu Sese Seko. The same guys who were funding Mobutu Sese Seko discovered that the DRC, then it was Zaire, before it changed to DRC, they discovered that there are so many disgruntled people who were loyal to Mobutu Sese Seko. They funded them, and they sponsor the likes of Rwanda and Burundi. We invaded 1990, we invaded DRC. Since then, I think DRC is 3 times. You can look at how King Leopold killed 10 million Congolese. So the issue of the case of Congo is the mineral wealth that it has. It has got so many checkers: the French, the Americans, the British. Everyone wants to have a piece of cake of the DRC minerals. With minerals, when Zimbabwe intervened in 1998, that was one of the major reasons why we have these sanctions, as we affected the looting of the DRC the resources, as we fought side by side by the Congolese, the DRC. So from then you can tell there's the matrix of other players who are fueling the discontent. And even African countries, we don't have the capacity who are benefiting from the chaos and the loot. I think I remember there was one time where a vehicle by the United Nations was caught with minerals. And people thought these guys were doing peacekeeping. So the case of Congo, it is to do with the locals finding themselves, believing in themselves, sharing the national cake. Because I know the challenge with our the current government is not keen to solve the issues. I think this has been the challenge since 1991. The government has not been a ragtag, because they've been rebels. The army is not well trained, and Congo area-wise is too big to manage. It needs a strong man. And by then, when Mobutu Seko was there, he was more of a strong man. And they've noticed the issue of strong men. They can hold nations together. Look at Libya, look at Iraq. So when he was deposed, there were so many people who took advantage. They created that fiefdoms, and these fiefdoms are the ones that are funding these 123 rebels. And if you just see the rebels, you can find that the government the second outside. But at the end of the day, why minerals in DRC are going out in a whole situation? That says a lot. Meaning, where they get the guns. The guns, the private jets, give the man the guns, they take out the minerals. So something needs to be done. The AU has tried, but it's bigger. This is a bigger situation, which involves the Congolese themselves, who are accomplices and their complicity in not wanting peace with their benefiting. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Saxon Vima from Zimbabwe. He has brought up a very important issue. It's because of intervention into Congo that Zimbabwe quickly was put on sanction list by the Americans, because they disrupted their chain of supply of minerals that they were illicitly taking out of Congo. Thank you very much, Engineer. Stay on the line. Let's come to Tawish. Tawish, then prepare Pambe to give us a background. I believe you have some background notes on this. And Tawish, key issues here. phase 1 of my writing, which you have 20 points. If mediators don't look at those 20 points, it is going to be rather very murky. The Congolese themselves must come out and tell us why you can have $10,000 and create an army. You know, if you have $10,000 in the Congo, you can create an army and you start protecting the region where you are. How on earth can a government with governance allow such a thing to happen? Tawich.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga, and thank you, colleague correspondents. Dr. Matsanga, the situation in DR Congo is very complex. It's very unfortunate, the kind of incidences of violence and war and killings and displacement of ordinary civilians. And I think it is time that African people really need not to now point fingers, even at the Western power countries or the European nations, but rise to the occasion and ask themselves what is it we can do as a people, as a continent, as a nation, to try and address some of these problems that is bedeviling this country called the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Matsanga, the panelists in this program will acknowledge that DR Congo is one of those nations in the continent of Africa, if not in the world today, with vast natural resources from gold, diamond, copper, and so many others, including even timber today. I mean, the best timber, you'll find it in DR Congo today. But I mean, it's also very despicable and unfortunate that all of these natural resources in DR Congo have not benefited the people in Congo and have not even really made the potential that is DR Congo to become one of the richest nations in the continent of Africa. And it now boils down to the question of why destabilization in DR Congo, because we've not been able to see, I mean, tranquility, peace, and security in DR Congo. There's re-emergence, continued re-emergence of rebel activities and rebel groups, extremism in DR Congo for the last over 20 or 25 years, to be precise. And one would then ask why and how comes that it is very difficult really to stop these rebel activities. Congo itself has been pointing accusing fingers at the neighboring countries, including but not limited to Rwanda and Uganda, for participating and sometimes even allegedly hosting some of the rebel members in the DR Congo that continue to destabilize that country. And I think that is where there's that the origin of the bad blood between Rwanda and DR Congo as we speak today. And because there's that accusation that probably Rwanda is supporting the M23 rebels in North Kivu. And Dr. Matsanga, there's also one thing that most of us, maybe in the panel and Africans and those who are very critical actors in as far as mediating and finding a solution to this crisis is concerned, are really shying away from speaking. That DR Congo somehow to some extent feel that because the M23 rebels in their good number, I mean, they're of Tutsi ethnicity, and that just by that virtue, there's that perception that they still have some lineage from Rwanda, and that is why maybe by virtue of moral obligation, Rwanda is supporting the activities of the M23 rebels. And I think if we do not move with speed and honestly so to try and bring together Rwanda, Uganda, and DR Congo in as far as this conflict is concerned, then we might get to a level where it will completely get out of hand. It will boil down to a full-blown conflict, not now between the government or the authority in DR Congo and the rebel groups, but again between Rwanda and the neighboring countries. I do not really hope and think that that is where we want to get this country to. But by and large, I mean, was it Dr. Wanda who did mention that we cannot continue seeing things happening and blaming I mean, the external forces, if we have the capacity and ability to be able to stop all this together? Why are we blaming the Western power countries? Why are we blaming even our neighbors for a country that has its own sovereignty? Why don't we rise to the occasion and be able to stop some acts that we believe are geared towards full destabilization of a republic of DR Congo. And I think this is the question now that is being posed to the authorities of authorities in DR Congo, that they cannot continue being crybabies and I mean laying blame here and there, pointing fingers at other nations or at other actors if they cannot rise to the occasion and be able to stop some of these activities. And I think there's so much that the government of DR Congo can also be able to do. Because I remember in so many other discussions and in so many other programs we have had, especially right here on Pakistan Africa TV platform, we've spoken about the change of guard, the change of regime, say in DR Congo. And at this point, I remember Dr. Matsanga, even when we started talking about DR Congo, we didn't even have President Tshisekedi in place as the president in DR Congo. And today we have a new president, but we continue to have more problems of similar nature, in fact, to escalated levels. What is then the problem? Is it about the regimes? Is it about the presidents? Or is it because we have an ideology that has become completely difficult to erase in the minds of the people? So let's confront these rebels once and for all. We must be able to speak the truth to one another, especially even as brothers and sisters in the region. And it's a good news that some of the forces have already gone to DR Congo to help try to neutralize and pacify that part of the continent. But Dr. Matsanga, I don't believe that this is enough. We also need to deal with the mindset and the attitude of the rest of us in the continent of Africa, and particularly the leadership, and the leadership that now DR Congo seems to be having a misgiving on. But I believe if all this is dealt with, Dr. Matsanga, by the end of the day, we may see DR Congo become one of the greatest economy in the continent of Africa, if not in the world, because again, they have the large tracts of land, they have the rich mineral resources, they have fertile soil, they have adequate rain. It only needs a very small trigger in terms of correct mindset on the part of the leadership and the support of the region for it to get back to its footing. Dr. Matsanga, for now, I submit.
I come to Wanda, to Mupambe on the Wanda. Let me look at Mupambe. What notes do you have on Congo? A few facts about Congo.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga, and fellow panelists, wherever you are. And conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo, of course, is traced back around 3 decades ago, around 30 years ago, that is. And this has left more than 6 million people dead and forced 4.5 million from their homes. In the past year, violence has increased once more as security forces battle against more than 100 armed groups in the east of the country, despite the presence of a large United Nations peacekeeping operations. Both the M23 and the Congolese army have accused each other of starting the clashes leading to the current crisis. The intensity of the escalation has been such that President Felix Tshisekedi issued a call to arms on Thursday, that's last week. He urged the country's youth to organize themselves into vigilance groups to support the army. The effects of the conflicts are not restricted to DR Congo, but are also souring diplomatic relations between Rwanda and DR Congo, which accuses its neighbor of backing the M23 rebels and even expelled the Rwandan ambassador. Last week, Rwanda denies the claims. The M23 rebels, which was actually the M23 group, which was formed a decade ago, claims to defend the interests of the ethnic Tutsis living in DR Congo against the Hutu militias. And elsewhere, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame came to power at the head of a rebel Tutsi army fighting Hutu extremists who slaughtered hundreds of thousands of ethnic Tutsis during the 1994 genocide. Many of those responsible then fled to DR Congo after Mr. Kagame's forces took over in Rwanda, taking the conflict across the border with them. And as just I sum up, in an attempt to ease the latest crisis, leaders of the East African community agreed to send a force to quell the fighting in eastern DR Congo, just months after that country joined the regional grouping. And recently we saw Kenya also taking the troops there. The seeming rapid deterioration of security in the eastern DRC and resurgence of M23 are an outcome of long-standing regional rivalries between Rwanda and Uganda. About 12.8 million of 81 million people in DRC need humanitarian assistance and protection, including 5.6 million children as well. Other concerning problems include child malnutrition and outbreaks of cholera, measles, and Ebola. More than 800,000 people from the DRC live in neighboring countries as refugees, and 4.5 million people are displaced within the country. Thank you. So
Right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. That is a very good background to our viewers, those watching and watching us from across the continents of Africa. I have one question as we come to wind up. The rest you can read on my platform, on my blog. It is Matsanga David. I've written everything there on my Facebook. I put the notes there, the points, the 20 points that I feel why Congolese government has been part and a parcel of the difficulties that Congo has. Successive governments, not only Kisekedi's, Kabila 1, Kabila 2, these are the same problems. Nobody has taken authority, the center of authority. They have let us down. One question I want to ask, and then in a quick summary within the next 5 minutes, let's all sum it up in this way. Does Congo need rearrangement? Wanda. I know it is a very interesting question, but I'm asking, does Congo need rearrangement? Because in Europe, we rearranged Yugoslavia. It was the hot spot of all difficulties of Europe. Congo is the hot spot of all difficulties of Africa, of all the regions. Do we rearrange? Do we rearrange Congo? We rearranged Yugoslavia. We pacified Yugoslavia. Peace has grown. Economy has grown. Congo remains the pain in African politics, in African economy. It's a huge country with all the resources. It has become a breeding ground for so many features: economy, politics, rebels, terrorists, name it. Do we rearrange Congo? Wanda.
Such a very nice question and very thoughtful, because you look at Congo, then we are counting decades of Congo crisis, a country that has been fighting for so many years, a country that has never seen or known peace. Then it tells you that probably if we keep doing things the same way repeatedly, then we'll never get the results that we think we are going to get. The rearrangement of Congo could be a solution. But now, be a solution, and it should be keenly looked into, because we have allowed the Western world to get in Congo and do all the things that they are doing. That you get into the rest of the world, any other time they have an issue, they'll probably try and sort their issues as a continent or as a region. But for us, we have issues in Congo, but we have allowed the Western world to come in and make things even worse. But the rearrangement of Congo could be a solution, because if we keep doing things the same way, exactly as you're putting it, we are likely to keep on going round and round. Then we will never realize the peace that we want. We'll keep asking ourselves what is that Congolese government is not doing it right. And yet Congo knows, the Congolese government knows that they are not doing it right. Not that they are doing it without knowing that they are making a mistake, They know it is a mistake they are doing. They know they are failing, but they enjoy in the same failures. Therefore, I feel like it is true. We need to start having a discussion on the rearrangement of Congo. But the only question probably will be who will initiate the rearrangements after having the AU not doing its work, after having the AU that is perceived to be a toothless dog or doing things, not knowing what it should be doing or leaning to the Western world in itself. Therefore, the question probably should be, because it is true rearrangement could be the solution. So the challenge in this case will be who will initiate. I really wish and pray that it was Dr. Matsanga doing this, because I'll be so happy and at peace, because I'll be 100% sure that the rearrangement will work. Because if we go to the AU, then we have an issue with AU. If we go to our specific countries, then we are already creating a diplomacy war where Rwanda is now being seen as not faithful. Ugandans are not, the Uganda government is now being seen as not faithful. So soon, Kenyans will be perceived as not faithful. And therefore, who will do the rearrangement? I wish it was Dr. Matsanga, because I'll be 100% sure peace will be finally be felt or realized. I land.
As you land, thank you very much. Dr. Matsanga has no powers in the world to, but I wish all wishes were horses. Or is it all horses were wishes? But which one do you say? I wish all this came true, I would divide it. But my opinion is rearrangement of Congo is the best way to stabilize it, because I don't see, if the government itself is not keen in making sure that it takes authority, it stamps authority on its territory. The best is to give autonomous states or autonomous or autonomous regions that people can develop but remain with one foreign policy that could actually be called Congolese DRC foreign policy. But to have a country and call it yours when you have 123 rebel groups on your ground, I think is impossible. So I wish the same question. Do we rearrange Congo? Mr. Tawish, yes.
Yes, Dr. Matsanga. The call to rearrange Congo really is timely, Dr. Matsanga, and I think we need not to take more time to think about how we can put Congo back to its footing. But again, the question would be, in which context are we going to address and to deal with this rearrangement of this nation? And I think we need first and foremost really to address it from the point of the leadership, because I believe that is where the problem is. Earlier on, Dr. Matsanga spoke about the issue of honesty, and you made reference to Tanzania when they said they are not going to be part and parcel for any initiatives to do with the DR Congo. And there might be a lot of things happening on the ground that are not coming to the fore. Maybe it is time we need to peel the mask, but not in the context of Miguna's book, Peeling the Mask, and to get to understand exactly what is it that is hidden behind the conflict in DR Congo. Is it what we are seeing in the face value? Is there any bigger and hidden agenda that is not coming to the fore? Because again, when they cannot come out genuinely with sincerity and honesty to speak about why this conflict is ever undying, then we will never find a conflict. It does not matter how many soldiers we'll send to the ground. It does not matter how many strings of meetings we are going to conduct, how many envoys we are going to have, how many interventions we are going to have from within the continent and outside the continent, Dr. Matsanga. We may, after all, not find a solution to this conflict in DR Congo. The biggest hurdle, I think, here will be to address the leadership problem, and that's when you talk about rearrangement. Because if you have every other leadership succession governments coming in and leaving without quite addressing the real issues that bedevil this nation, then we will completely never find a solution to this problem. That's why we are talking about the rebel activities, especially the M23 rebels, causing havoc in DR Congo for the last over 20 years. And when we have had successive regimes from every after other election, Dr. Matsanga. So I think let's address this from the point of the leadership. That's where the problem is. And once we are able to deal and tackle with that, we may, after all, find at least a breakthrough in getting a solution, a long-lasting for that matter, in as far as the crisis and conflict in DR Congo is concerned. Dr. Matsanga, I land the mic.
Thank you very much, Tawish. As you landed the mic, I think we have learned this thing of landing the mic. And I want Pambe to land the mic. And before you land the mic, I agree with you. I want to do a summary. Pambe, what is your opinion? Do you think DRC Congo should be rearranged?
Yeah,
just brief.
There's no other way I can put it, because much has been said here. And of course, DR Congo, I agree that it should be rearranged. Because what I've realized here, there are many accomplices in this particular war, rather, that is going on, rather conflict that is going on. And even as much as you have those accomplices, they even have the other accomplices that were there before, because this war started 30 years ago, close to 30 years ago, that's 3 decades ago. And therefore, even if we say that we still remain with the same leaders who are there and who have been there, then we will end up with a very big conflict again and again and again. It will just keep on escalating. I've also seen blame games coming in this particular issue, and therefore all this should be stopped. Once we stop blame games, and then we do the rearrangement of these, and also we stop these accomplices from going on with their activities, Congo will just be somewhere that Africa dreams of it to be. And of course, I think that most of these leaders or these people are listening to Dr. Matsanga speak here, or rather to this show, Dr. Matsanga Global Trends. They can pick 1 or 2 ideas to help them, this country, to be saved and also be to a certain map that we need it to be. Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me do a takeaway. For the last 6 decades, Democratic Republic of Congo has changed the names from Congo Kinshasa, Congo Zaire, and now DRC Congo. As the names keep on changing, state actors keep on changing. Wars keep on changing, from small military takeover by Mobutu Sese Seko that killed the late Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba through the Belgian conspiracy, to now bigger wars where you have 123 and 32 rebel groups in one territory. Surely, a country with 132 rebel groups on its soil, people looking for various things, some looking for gold, diamonds, coltan, cobalt, name every type of mineral, timber, fish, salt, everything that you find on earth is in Congo. But Congo, like Yugoslavia, in Europe had similar problems. The European countries decided to dismember Yugoslavia by supporting various actors in that war. Since then, we got new states of Serbia, Bosnia, Albania, Macedonia, and several other states. But the point here is this: why should a country in Africa Sorry. Why should a country in Africa host so many rebel groups to the extent that they outnumber its army? The difficulties of African governments is a failure to accept responsibility. Sorry. The Congolese government itself has failed to accept responsibility, that it is partly to blame for not having taken a lot of authority to close down, to stamp authority, to remove every rebel group from its territory and safeguard its integrity. So phase number one of this blame, as mediators think of which way to start, is to address truthfully, talking truthfully, candidly, the difficulties, the root causes that have caused the wars that we see, and the war that we see with 132 rebel groups crowded on one territory, racketeering, profiteering, plundering the resources of this great nation, and denying Africa the chance to have a super country where others in East Africa would gain from. The current spate of war between the rebel groups, M23, goes a long way to explain to you that an army that threatens other institutions and said, when you come, we are waiting for you. You open fire, we open fire. Is an army that is backed by some powerful forces, not a mere rebel group. As a conflict resolution expert, I find it very, very difficult and very disturbing that today, as we prepare for shuttle diplomacy on how to bring about peace in Congo, no leader in the conflict has come out to tell the truth. Our key word today, cash phrase, is the truth. For peace to come in Congo, we need the truth. For peace to flourish in Congo, we need the truth. For rebel activities to end, we need the truth. It is only truth that will set the people of Congo and the people of Africa from these long, protracted rebel activities that had killed over 10 million people since it started. Displaced thousands of refugees, millions of refugees spread across all the continent of Africa in the neighboring countries. The truth and the truth alone will save Congo. Thank you, viewers. I'm Dr. David Matsanga from London. Thank you, my panel, Dr. Wanda Samuel Tawish, veteran journalist and investigative reporter for Punchline Africa TV. Thank you, Saxon from Zimbabwe, Engineer Saxon Vima from the University of Zimbabwe, a very strong institution that has taken part in the issues of Congo. And thank you very much, Pambe, the man at the helm of Radio Punchline, at the helm of Radio Punchline Africa TV. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless everybody. God bless the people of Congo. Thank you.